Hey guys, Stealth here. Today some gameplay by Future Pro and Austrian Oak. We've seen Future and Oak already, and they always make for a very entertaining gameplay. These guys are really good at the game, and they usually go up against very experienced players. You can see that already by the ranks that these guys have. Captain and Corporal. So they have played some ranked games, and that just tells me how dedicated to competitive games these guys are. They are both using a USA general deck. No specifics, no specialties, just the USA, and that gives you a ton of flexibility, as you may know. Now you can see that it is quite a big map for two players. This is one of the maps that you do see in 2v2s, but I think that a 4v4 or even a 10v10 is better here. But then again, a 10v10 only with low income, otherwise it's just going to be a madness right in the middle of this map. So we're going to be following Future Pro in this game. Let's see what he's bringing in. A DAP, some Blackhawks. So he's probably going to try and capture one of these towns ahead quite quickly. And then, by the looks of it, he might try to push up with a couple of Bradleys into A2. So quite good ATGMs on those. Chaparrals, Humvees, and a V150 with reconnaissance forces. Let's speed this up to the point of deployment. Oh, Combat gets added to the mix. Pivats. They're opening very strong here with the two of them, and it seems that this side just has a bit of forces. Mostly capture and hold forces, as well as reconnaissance. Okay, we're off. Let's see. Oak is going towards the right side of the map with the Bradley support, and on the left flank we have Future Pro with the Chaparrals, Comvats, and an M1M1 Abram, as well as a Pivats. So he has a good, solid setup here. Block 52 flying overhead patrols. As expected, he's offloading some light riflemen here quickly. Light riflemen with their Super Dragon have a bit of a standoff capacity to deal with enemy vehicles, and I think that they're going to get a couple of shots off, seeing that there are some transports coming in. I think that these are WZ-551 transports, but I'm not entirely sure. That would mean that we're dealing with Chinese players here. Yep, 551s. I'm gonna pause it for a moment and see if I can spot some more of those. No, these are tanks. There goes another transport. These guys are not playing destruction, by the way, which is why you're not seeing a point value appear when they make a kill. These guys are doing Conquest, and by the looks of it, this is going to be one fast Conquest, since the red team is already at a +6 advantage. They already have 88 out of 500 points, and it's going up rapidly. It's because they've quickly captured Golf, Charlie, and Bravo. Blue 4, on the other hand, has not captured any zone other than their base zones yet. So the added income that Red 4 has is going directly to their point value. Let's have a look at the setup that Future Pro has here. We got an AA unit, Rangers here to prevent a sudden sneak attack here on the left flank. Some smalls to protect this road, or as well as this town. A DAP hovering and seemingly going towards possibly the ZA9 here. Sorry, the Z9A. We got Comvats here to defend against enemy transports, and the Abrams to deal with virtually any tank that they can throw at you. Okay, I'm going to pause it here. The reason I was able to very quickly identify the 551s, these transports, is because they have a very distinct looking appearance. They look a bit like the Fuchs, but the Fuchs don't carry an autocannon like that. So it's a big 6-wheeled vehicle. If you look at the back, you can see it's amphibious. It has these propellers on the back, and that autocannon on top means that this thing can be dangerous to your transports and your infantry. And also it's important to know which infantry units can come out of this. I always assume it's going to be higher end infantry or Legion 90s, because that's the units that use this transport. If you know that, you're going to see what kind of units you might need to bring to counter those. Let's see how Austrian is doing. quite a lot of engagement here in the middle. He's using base riflemen, interestingly. Some smalls as support units, LVTP 7, and by the looks of it, he's up against the T-80U, which can kill off anything that is operating in these woods here. Red 4 is still leading by a lot of points, 210. Blue 4 is now pushing in a CV to Juliet, which gives them another +2, so their income dropped to only +2. I think capture India, they're going to be neutralizing the entire income. They capture Mike, Blue 4 is actually going to be getting some points, and I think that is at this stage going to be a priority because they're already halfway through. So let's see what's going to happen next. Future is pushing up with some more reconnaissance units here. I'm going to assume these are Rangers, possibly SEALs, not too sure yet. He has solidified his position here with the riflemen, some Rangers and light riflemen for AT vehicles or AT capacity. Bradleys with TOW2s, high-end ATGMs, ready to take on any tank, but mostly covering this road here. And of course with the Rangers here he has pretty good recon over this field. And a second group of Rangers should be able to spot targets for the M1A1. Austrian is not having a very good day here, losing most of his forces to that T-80U, and I don't see yet how they're going to counter that. Here it comes. M1A1 Abrams. This thing can punch through 19 points of armor, and it has 17 frontal armor itself. If we compare that quickly to the enemy T-80U, you're going to see that this thing has 20 frontal armor, so the M1A1 is not going to be enough at maximum range. It's going to have to close in a little bit. The T-80U, at the same time, can deliver 20 points of armor penetration, which is going to go directly through the front side of the Abrams, and even at maximum range it will continue to do damage. So unless he brings something a bit heavier, he's going to have a bad time against that T-80U. He's moved up a pivot here on the left flank, and I'm talking Future, not Austrian, trying possibly to get this ZY-90. TY-90s, by the way, are AA helicopters. Very dangerous. If you see these guys and they're approaching your own helicopters or even your own aircraft, be wary, because with this range and this accuracy, as well as a very high-end stabilizer, these things can fly by and deliver those AA missiles at high speed. And they carry 8 of them. This is not some Igla ferrying helicopter that only has 4 AA missiles. We got some tank destroyers here, or ATGM transports. But by the looks of it, they're still hiding behind this tree line here. At this stage, Blue 4 has also captured Mike, so the Red 4 advantage is done. And Blue 4 is now even in the lead with +2, because they've just captured India. CV, unfortunately, is not quite in cover. Or it is in cover and Red 4 can somehow see it, but I think it's not exactly in the tree line. Let's just switch to neutral. And yeah, it's not exactly in the tree line, because otherwise there had to be recon along these flanks. So that's why the unit is not blinking. Let's see if they're making any other moves trying to capture terrain. We got some more reconnaissance units coming in. Another CV. And this time Blue 4 is going to start pushing back as far as points go. Interesting, Future Pro can see these units, but he's not engaging them. And he has 2 M1A1s here, which are enough to pretty much attack anything that might cause problems here. Q5D sniped a 163 there. And that means that the Chaparral might be next. There might be artillery landing, there might be a bomb strike coming in. So he's moving that unit away to make sure that it's not going to get hit. Over on the middle we got new SEALs, yeah right, Navy SEALs engaging with Jogde. Jogde. These are the These are the North Korean infantrymen / marines. Quite capable, but against Navy SEALs they're going to have a bad time. And you can see that the Navy SEALs, when they're suppressed by a T-80U, are not going to win against other infantry. Time to start pushing back here. lots of tanks moving up, 2 M1A1s, same that they have on this flank, M1A1 mixed in with Comvats. And now there's also some LAV-Ms trying to shell the crap out of these ATGM carriers. I know they're not, sorry, these TDs, PTZ-59s are tank destroyers. Some more infantry on infantry here, and these guys are 15-man groups versus 10-man riflemen. They also have a more veterancy level, so without support from, for example, the LVTB-7A1s, you're not going to win with a bunch of riflemen. More autocannons firing here. Unfortunately, just lost sight of those. And they got a BTR-90 coming in with an autocannon and a grenade launcher. It's bad news for the Marines, and that's even worse for the Marines. I'm thinking that might have been a B5. I wasn't fast enough to catch it, but I think that might have been it. Now, losing forces in Conquest is not as bad as it is in Destruction. You're not immediately losing points. But in the long run, it can mean trouble. Because if you don't patch up your lines, if you don't watch how many tanks you're losing, you might lose too many tanks and end up not having any available. So it's not a meat grinder where you can just throw in tank after tank after tank and hope for the best. That's not how this works. You need to be careful, you need to be tactical, you need to go for the high income zones and try and get that little bit income advantage over the enemy. And you can see that Blue 4 has managed to do that here in Hotel, where they have one command vehicle, that Humvee CP. It is in the open, but there's not really any good cover here, especially not at the, say, the back of the zone. Really a position where you do have some cover is here, but it's not an easy position to hold out. Now we got an M1A1 facing off against the T-72. Hot Rainbow notices that he can probably not win that engagement, so he's backing the tank up. And literally backing the tank up. This is the only right way to retreat with tanks. Because by doing this, you're keeping the front of your armor towards the enemy and making sure that your tank is going to probably survive that retreat. Unless, of course, you're dealing with some very high-end anti-tank unit. Got an M1A1 here, heavily pushing the enemy line. I doubt he's going to survive that second HGM though, so he's backing him up. Trying to get this tank back to safety. And even a shaken M1A1 still has an accuracy of 50%, although it is dropping due to the increased range. We're now back to 46. And hopefully he's going to make it out alive. Yep, he managed to kill off another transport there. And he lost it to another tank, but I'm not exactly too sure which this is. It might not even be a tank actually. It might be a tank destroyer class. But we're going to see that in probably a few seconds. M2A2's coming up, engaging with Bushmasters, and that means that these things don't have a lot of armor. Otherwise the Bradleys would have opened up with their TOW-2 missiles. So that's another way that you can figure out what kind of unit you're up against. Future Pro is again shelling these guys and making sure that they have to back up so that he can bring in more reinforcements here, because one tank against a group of tank destroyers might not be the best option. Looks like he's bringing in a Patriot, because the Q5D that you see frequently is trouble, and they're losing too many units to it. So he's pushing up with the Patriot, having it disabled, to make sure that that Fireball cannot try and engage it with its long-range anti-radar missile. Let's see, he's now firing at the MiG-27, and together with some other AA, probably the chaps, they managed to get it. Block 52, trying to get a hit on the Fireball, but the Fireball has very, very good ECM, and he managed to make it away. Second Patriot coming in, and this is something that you do need to do. He's bringing in Hemmets to make sure that those Patriots can keep firing, because these things only carry 4 missiles and they are rather resource intensive. So this is something that you need to have a look at if you're using Patriots or any kind of low ammo AA units. Bring in supplies, make sure you have these units constantly stocked up so you can engage them when you see a hostile aircraft coming over. Another aircraft coming in, another one of those Q5Ds. We've seen a lot of these things already. And let's see where this unit might be going for. Might be going for either the rifleman, although that would not be a very likely target. And it's not going to go well for this plane, as it probably got hit by 2 Patriots there. Patriots just scored another kill, and I'm thinking that was another Q5D. No, sorry, it was a MiG variant. I'm not sure which though. The score is still heavily in Red 4's favor, as you can see here. They have 250 points over only 62 for Blue 4. So Blue 4 has to come up with something better to get that points value increased before this timer runs out. If it does, Red 4 will win. And for Red 4, they're actually in a pretty comfortable position now, if you base it on the point value that they have. I mean that if Red 4 only defends for the next 25 minutes, they're going to win by default. So really the ball is in Blue 4's court, and that puts an additional strain on Blue 4. They have to move. If they don't, they're going to lose. They're working with attack markers here, probably engaging some, let's see, I'm thinking IFVs or transports with autocannons to make sure they're suppressed, moving away from that unit. And I'm thinking they also have some recon, since this M1A1 has been spotted. Pushing up with a V150 as a reconnaissance unit. Now these things are blind as a bat, they got poor optics. But if you can get a unit in here, it means that there's nothing really fighting it until it gets there. It's also dropped off the Rangers, and with those Rangers they now have pretty good optics. So I'm wondering really when the LAVMs are going to open up on the Tunguska, because that's a pretty high-end AA platform at 100 points. And I know you don't get the point value, but you do neutralize a very powerful unit that can do a lot of damage to helicopters in the middle of the map. Interesting deployment of a CEV here. You don't really see many people using this thing. Combat Engineer's vehicle, I've covered it quite often already. Very, very good unit when dealing with enemy infantry. Very good unit at killing off infantry that's either in a building or in a forest, because the splash range on these things is huge. I'm just not sure why he's parking it in the middle of the field against a T-80U. So the T-80U, if the thing keeps eye on it, it's going to either one-shoot it with the main gun, since these things only have 13 armor, or it's going to send an ATGM to it when one of those reflects are going to kill it with one missile and maybe one shot from the main gun. Rangers here engaging the T-64BM, unfortunately, I might add, because that's going to get them killed. And here is that mortar strike that I had predicted, and I don't think they managed to get it. Yep, it's still there. Backing up, panicked, extremely heavily damaged. But by the looks of it, they might just make it out. And instead he's going for the T-80U, and he sniped it with a Hornet. And that was a Hornet from Austrian Oak. You can see that without the Rangers there, they lost most of the visuals that they had here. They do have Navy SEALs as a spotter unit and as a defense infantry unit for this block of buildings. And now they're just casually trying to push up with some more riflemen here. Meanwhile, we got some blips here, but we cannot really see what they are yet. This might be that tank destroyer that we saw earlier. And this is another 551. It's the same profile that I described earlier. Napalm bombing run coming in, trying to force them away from this forest. If you can force them out of that tree line, you're forcing them to push back, or to pull back into Bravo. And that's when, by the looks of it, Future can start pushing, because he has quite a few forces here. Marines, LVTPs, 2 Abrams, and a lot of supporting units in the sense of chaparrals, mortars, and let's see, some pivats over there in the north. You can see just how dangerous those 551s are, because they just managed to kill off an enemy, or an LVT-P7A1. PTZ-89s here, trying to engage the enemy vehicles as they're coming in, but due to this dense smoke they cannot quite see it. So Blue 4 is pushing up, Losing quite a few Rangers already due to counter mortar fire. Reconnaissance units spotted there. And now they're starting to push with the M1A1 Abrams. This is where the battle is going to get interesting. Engaging some ZDFs, which are ATGM units. Hopefully they're going to kill off those before they manage to fire ATGMs at the Abrams. Managed to miss there. Did lose a Bradley. Royal Marines, sorry, not Royal, US Marines and Rangers are pushing up through the forest, which has now stopped burning, so they can actually start using it again. And an M1A1 just got blown up by what I believe was an airstrike. BTR-40 getting destroyed by the M1A1 as well as the Bradley. And you can see that this is a potent combination. M1A1 can take on pretty much any tank, and the Bradley with its autocannon can kill off most any vehicle, except for fast-firing autocannons or heavily armored vehicles. And again, good use here of smoke, although the LAVs are firing so many rounds that they are going out of ammo soon. We also have two Paladins backing them up with heavier artillery fire. And this M1A1 is just casually rolling through the forest, trying to get kills. It's moving ahead of the recon, so it's going to have to rely on its own medium optics, which is not ideal, but for a situation like this, you just have to keep pushing. Killed off another unit there. And I gotta say, MacDonald here in this M1A1 is doing a very good job pushing and forcing the enemy out of this forest. Let's hope they can find the command vehicle fast here to make sure that they can get more income. Because this zone is worth 2 points, so if you win this one, you're suddenly at a +3 income instead of +1. A couple of 5.51s getting instantly destroyed by Mr. MacDonald here in his M1A1. You can see that those things just don't stand a chance. They barely damage this tank. And this Abrams, by the way, has fired so many rounds that it's starting to run low. It only has 10 rounds left out of its original 29. Accuracy on this thing is very good. 94%, and it is of course firing at pretty short range. Getting stunned here by artillery. I'm hoping he's not going to get hit by another airstrike, but considering how far he is ahead of the friendly AA lines, he might be in quite a bit of trouble here. Killed off another transport, 73%, and he just went veteran. This guy is almost at the elite level, at which it becomes an even more fearsome tank. A couple of Fanghewer Bings here, napalm troops getting mortared. And I think that by now the mortars, yeah, they only got 40 rounds left. It's going to get really close. And I think he's going to start to bring in resupplies for those units at some point. It looks like the push here by Oak in the middle failed. He didn't quite get through. I'm not exactly sure what happened because I was paying attention on the other flank. But they're back with just a bunch of riflemen here in Lima. They even lost the tanks that they had here. That means that if Redford decides to do a counter push here, they're in trouble. Because they do have seemingly quite air superiority here. They have one Abrams, but a wave of vehicles here could spell the end of Blue Force control in Lima. Long range shells coming in, probably from the Paladins, and I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, they're trying to hit something here, and they did manage to force out the command vehicle. You can see that it's a command vehicle here, and it's slowly backing up as Redford is desperately bringing in more forces. John Mahos, BTR-40s, BTR-80As, and again, due to the napalm, the Redford command vehicle has to move. As well as, of course, blocking off this road, which is going to stun and or damage multiple vehicles at once. And as you may know, a stunned vehicle is a vehicle that's a lot less effective. Mr. MacDonald here took some additional hits. The tank is pretty much in ruins, has very low amount of main shells left, only 4. Running out of fuel slowly, but this thing definitely did its job, and it did it very, very well. His buddy's going to take over, Mr. Rubio in another M1A1. And hopefully he's going to get that M1A1 repaired, because that additional veterancy could make this tank very valuable as the battle goes on. Convats versus Yukyok days, unfortunately not going to work, and you can see that they did get destroyed there. Convats are great units if they are engaging infantry or vehicles in the open. If they're engaging in a knife fight range like this, you're going to be in trouble. And that's exactly what you saw happen there. A couple of seed planes patrolling, a Raven and a Prowler, and together these guys are neutralizing whatever AA protection Red 4 has over these lines. You can see that they're flying by unchallenged. There's no infrared AA here, there's no infantry AA, no manpads, nothing. And Blue 4 is still making life hard on Red 4 here as they're continually moving that CV about, forcing it out of cover. Over here on the right, Blue 4 has lost control of Hotel, and that puts them at a neutral income, so nobody's getting points. Austrian is already getting in some more CV here, as as Future is protecting this zone with a longbow. And this is a very, very good area of operations for longbow. You have a lot of open terrain, not a lot of cover for tanks. You can spot everything as it comes across, unless I suppose it has exceptional stealth, but there's not that many units that have that. And even AA units, you can see those coming from a long way away. So this longbow has a very, very good job hunting this field. LAVM here getting destroyed. His only surviving body is pulling back, also almost out of ammo. So you can just see how much use these guys make out of mortar carriers. And how effective they are, because with that smokescreen there, Future almost managed to push Red 4 out of this zone. He just didn't quite pull it off, but the use of smoke there and mortars to stun the enemy was invaluable. He's not repairing that M1A1 yet, but I'm of course not sure exactly what his income status is at this point. And I'm gonna pause it here right quick to show you what exactly is going on. They keep doing sorties with their phantoms to make sure that this area is denied. The napalm bombs are area of denial weapons. Denial of area weapons, meaning that the enemy can return fire with AA. That's not really what I was going to say. They cannot use any forces in here unless they want those things to start taking damage. And now you can see again that the Raven's coming in. And they have a very, very good tandem here of seed planes, bombers, as well as always escorting their bombers with the Block 52. Just to make sure that they are not going to get killed off easily. Bradley's backing up the rifleman, but again losing to the enemy IFVs here. And the amount of infantry that's in here is just too much for these poor riflemen and the Bradley. So again, another push by Future Pro, and some brave guys died trying to advance into the enemy lines here. Here's the Hammett, finally going to get some resupplies from Mr. McDonald here. And of course trying to repair that tank as fast as possible, but I think that with the damage and that the shells that this tank needs, it might completely drain that Hammett before it gets completely repaired. Another M1A1 here taking heavy damage from a group of what I suppose are tank destroyers. Possibly, or actually these might be the Chonmahos that we saw earlier. Yeah, Chonmaho 4 tanks. You can see that the Block 52 denies the enemy the chance here to do bombing runs. And we are also looking at a point value of 192 currently versus 250. So it's getting close. Somehow, and I didn't catch it, but the Apache longbow died, and probably due to those Z9A TY90s. This is extremely dangerous material to a longbow, and you can see exactly why. Moreover, Red 4 again managed to neutralize the enemy or the Blue 4 CV here. So again, the income is nullified. Nobody is getting any points. LAV managed to kill off both helicopters here. You can see them going down. And that means that there are no Red 4 helicopters trying to sneak around here. McDonald has been fully repaired and resupplied. Hammett is almost empty. But you can just see that this thing took 2,000 points of supplies to get repaired and resupplied. That's just how resource intensive these things really are. More riflemen pushing up. And again a Phantom coming over, trying to do some napalm runs. But HQ-61s are opening up, and they're immediately getting put down by one of the Ravens that are circling overhead. Two more aircraft coming in, but Bluefor is prepared. I think he's going to activate these Patriots if they're not already active. Yep, there you go. Missiles killing off one of the J-7Cs, and the other one probably going to go down shortly after it. There you go. They might even get a kill on this Su-27PU. Missiles going in, hit it, badly wounded it, and that's when it went out of range, unfortunately. Now you can see when I have 3 minutes left on this replay, and I'm not sure how it's going to end, but by the looks of it, I think that Bluefor is going for either a draw or a defeat at this stage. Not exactly sure how they're going to try and come back from this. Seems that he's doing a final push here, at least final by the sense that the time's almost up. Riflemen pushing in, which are taking quite a bit of fire from what seems to be a heavy machine gun out of that tree line. Chonmaho 4 tanks, and now they can see the CV. If they can kill that CV, they can get maybe another few minutes of points. And that might just be the difference between getting a defeat and getting a draw. Let's see if they're going to capitalize on that mistake by Red 4. Or on them spotting that CV. Artillery shells going in. I'm probably going right for this vehicle. Yep, here they go. CV destroyed. Bluefor is again at +2. Now they don't have a CV here yet. They are bringing one in. But judging by the time that we have left, I don't think it's going to make it there. Pivets got destroyed here by the Firebau. Not really an important unit to have there, but it's a nice early stopper for helicopters. You see quite a bit of force on force here. M1A2 even. He's now bringing in a super heavy. I just don't know how much difference this tank could make at this stage of the game. You can see that they are rather effective at taking out any kind of vehicle or transport or whatever they're up against. Let's see how the situation is in the middle of the map. Red Force holding this section, Blue Force holding this section. Nobody's going to move anywhere anytime soon. So by the looks of it, it might turn into a draw. Unless that happened. Sapia surrendered. And he left the game. So this probably means that Hot Rainbow is also going to surrender, because a 2-on-1 against two of these experienced players is not going to work out in his favor. So with that, Bluefor might get a victory by surrendering. And there you go, they got it. Victory ratios and kill-death ratios in this game mode are not that important. It's a nice to have, it's not a must-have. So the kill-death ratios that these guys got here is still rather impressive, considering how many forces they lost and how much terrain they gained. So great job by both Future and Austrian Oak here. And I hope you enjoyed watching this gameplay and that you learned how to deploy these forces. The use of the F4 Phantom, the napalm bombers, was very impressive, very effective as well. And make sure that you got that bit of instruction on how to use smoke. Because, again, I'm going to mention this comment again because I was like, what the hell? Someone mentioned that mortars, and if you cannot play without mortars, you're being noobish and you're relying on noobish tactics. These are some of the best players that Wargame has to offer, and they are using smoke and mortars like there's no tomorrow. Just because those units are so effective at stunning enemy units, panicking them, making them less effective, as well as providing smoke screens to push up. So, I'm not going to name them, but I hope you learned your lesson in the sense that mortars do have a place in any deck, whether it's mechanized, motorized, armored, whatever. Anyway, with that, it's the end of the video. If you have gameplay that's of this quality, please send it in, because this is the stuff that I'm looking for. The link to how you can do that is in the description down below. And if you have a deck that you want me to have a look at, send it in, but please make the deck description a good one. If you're just asking me how to improve it, I have nothing to go on, and I'll just delete your deck right there, right then. If you give me a good description, I'm going to use this deck on Wands and Harbor. I intend to take the town in a 2v2. That's something I can work with. That's when I know what kind of feedback to give. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed watching these guys slug it out. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, because I try to give you one video of Wargame every day to keep you Wargame fixed. With that, it's the end, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be seeing you next time.